Hello, good morning, my friends. You are watching on the Smart Money Culture TV network on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana, as well as around the world on the rest of our streaming platforms. It is a busy day. Of course, we've had some market there I am. We have some market consolidation, a lot of geopolitical. People are scared, right? They're like, okay, Iran is going to respond, right? They just assassinated one of their people, Iran's people, whatever, Hamas people, whatever. The negotiator at that, as well as assassinated some other people in several different countries. And so, of course, there's going to be some response. So the markets are kind of, I would say, scared at the moment. I do expect that to turn around quite heavily moving forward, as the markets will still go on. I mean, short of nuclear war, which could happen. I mean, we are playing some Russian roulette here. Let's face it. As our guest talked about yesterday, we have there's a lot going on, and we have nuclear submarines off of our coast. I think from nobody talks about the Chinese ones, but I think the Chinese are there as well. And so we have nuclear and Russian submarines with nuclear warheads, 40, 50, 100 miles off our coast, easily within striking distance, as well. With nuclear capable countries all squaring off, and everybody's, instead of, hey, let's come in and talk to each other. So it is possible, barring something like that, though. I do feel like we had a nice consolidation over the last days. Pretty clear, and Matt will talk about it, but pretty clear correction on the market. And I think probably we will see some nice upside from here. Oil has been slightly moving up. Of course, it had a decent pullback there. We do expect, of course, out of the FOMC meeting, they came out exactly how everybody expected, indicating rate cuts coming in September, probably 2 to 3 rate cuts by the end of the year. That will continue to bring the U.S. dollar value down, which will push risk assets up. Should be good for Bitcoin and the rest of them. Stock market continues to trade at all-time highs. A little bit of a pullback. Again, not. Let me just see what that ended at yesterday. The Dow futures are down just slightly. It closed up yesterday. Yeah, about 0.25%. Again. Yeah. Oh, and actually, since I started putting the show together, Dow futures has turned positive. So that would indicate that we are in for a pretty good day. The Asian markets as well were mixed. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange is down a little bit, but we're talking like small percentage, 0.25% again here. So I'm closing some tabs here as I talk about this. Of course, we've had the just absolute show. I mean, just a horrible, real show, a crap show. I don't know how we want to say it, with these U.S. intelligence agencies, talking on stage. I mean, just one kind of lie after the other. The Secret Service, the FBI, floating different theories that a bullet didn't hit Trump, and then the next guy coming out and saying, yeah, definitely was a bullet, and then talking about the social media account of this Crooks guy. Of course, the Gab CEO, Andrew Torba or something like this. He came out and said, look, we found an old account that appears to be Crooks, Thomas Crooks, the Patsy shooter or whatever. And, here he is. This is what he has. And, they went out there, and by all indications, used that information and then lied about it and said that he was a pro-Trump Nazi instead of a, basically going on about bringing migrants into the U.S. and making them citizens and all this other stuff. So it's just really blatant perjury on the stand. Of course, Congress appears to have. I mean, Congress says it's just all a show. I think at this point, years ago, I think that people would think that something would happen, but nothing ever happens except to one side, I guess. So Steve Bannon, of course, is in jail. He's sitting in jail now. He's on a 4-month sentence. Peter Navarro just got out of jail. I think both of those were for defying a subpoena for Congress. So it appears that one side, something happens to one side, but it definitely doesn't happen to the other side. They come in, they do a show. I mean, they're talking about, we're gonna haul them into Congress and make them, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. Nothing ever happens. They get their 15 minutes of fame. Everybody gets their sound bites. The media is happy. They have a bunch of different media to run. People like me, I have a bunch of media to run. But nothing ever happens. It's a sad state of affairs, really. It is a sad state of affairs, in my opinion. Nothing ever happens. So we had we had some primaries yesterday. Of course, we had the Arizona primary that came out. Some of the Republican Arizona House. Of course, let's see here. I haven't heard a whole bunch about it. I did notice some of the ones that I was familiar with. So what I'm going to do now with these primaries is I'm going to go back through and you tell me who you support, and then let's raise some funds for these people and make sure they get elected. That's going to be one of the things I start to work on today, is figuring out, okay, these are the people that we have that are America first. And then let's start campaigning for these people and making sure they get elected. Say whatever you want about Kamala. And I know she wasn't popular before and, all those things. But they have done a very good job. They've done a very good job of making her appear like she is likable and electable. Don't shoot the messenger. Trump, of course, still the hands down crowd favorite. But when you have the magic electronic voting machines, you have the mail-in ballots, which are basically limitless, and you have the tens of millions, 20 plus million, newcomers that are being, by all indications, encouraged to vote. I certainly don't think that we can take anything for granted. Actually, Simone came out sounding the alarm yesterday or the day before, and they get a lot of flack. You get a lot of flack. Oh, Trump is leading, and don't do this, and say this and say that. But as we saw in previous elections, this is in no means wrapped up. It's by no means wrapped up at all. Okay, and I mean, that's just the long and short of it. This is by no means wrapped up by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that that's something that, they didn't change anything. And if you look at what happened just in Venezuela was actually very interesting, because in Venezuela, we appeared to have, by all indications, another color revolution they tried to do over there, the CIA and everybody else. And it failed for now. Of course, Maduro, from what I understand, has the Russian Secret Service basically protecting him at this point. I'm sure that the CIA would love to take him out. I mean, the other guy was the CIA's guy for 100%. They wanted that guy. Everybody wanted that guy. Elon even wanted that guy. He basically campaigned massively for him. So I think that it was a bit of a dry run, and to what to expect here. So we're gonna have our election here in 4 months, right? 100 days or so, and I don't think that we're going to get, every side's going to say they win. I don't think that they're going to stop like they did in Venezuela. They're going to stop the count. They're going to do all this stuff, and we're not going to have it. It's not going to be clear. That's what I think. I mean, maybe the Trump will win, but it's not going to be clear. They're going to always say it was this, that, and the other. I mean, you watch. I mean, if Venezuela is any indication, that's what I think. I'm going to bring on the great Matt Dixon here in a minute. I did just want to go over TON real quick, because this TON ecosystem is really booming. And one of the coins on TON that I wanted to talk about really quickly is dog or flower, because the dog or flower is holding up, and TON in general is holding up very well during this moment, okay, where the markets are consolidating. Let me just share my screen real quick here. Dog or flower. This is a fun meme coin. It is the whiff or the dog of, or doge, or whatever you want to call it, of the TON blockchain. And TON blockchain is absolutely exploding. Actually, in this downturn, or in this consolidation, they have performed the best. This is the chart here for dog or flower, and you can see here we're up 1.5% on the 24-hour. Now, if I go right over here to Coin Market Cap, let me just switch my tab here, and I just scroll down here. You can see Bitcoin is down 2.5%. As I mentioned, things are consolidating, and you have BNB. Everything's down, down, down. You get to TON down about 0.5%, okay, and up almost 3% on the week. So performing pretty well, and of course the ecosystem is responding. So dog or flower, I am long on dog or flower, full disclosure, and not financial advice and all that stuff. Fun though, it's fun, and I think that it has probably bottomed out, and we are in for some nice upside on this one. This community is just great. These guys are awesome. Awesome community. Get in the Telegram group, meet the team, and they're really cool. Sir Matt the great, Matt Dixon, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Bruce. Yeah, what a day yesterday, the FOMC. I almost got whiplash. The statement that came out, first of all, I was reading into it. It was looking, hawkish. They're not going to do anything. And then we got the press conference, and it seemed like a complete turnaround. But when you really dig into the statement, it was, I think there's enough signs there. Let me just share the screen of the statement if I can. It's quite interesting just to drill into it and see what it's telling us, see what they're trying to tell us.
All right, let's look at their semantics here.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's the FOMC statement. I trust you can see that, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just the first paragraph I want to look at. So recent indicators suggest that economic activity has continued to expand at a solid pace. Now that's off the back of that really solid reading on GDP. If you remember, a week ago we got a beat expectations. GDP was looking really good, but you must remember GDP is very much backward looking, and this was looking back at the second quarter. So it's looking in the rear view mirror. So I don't think it tells us a lot. So it's just interesting to say that recent indicators suggest economic activity continue to expand. Well, I'm not sure I completely agree with that. So as I say, the GDP figures are so backward looking. But then it says job gains have moderated. Well, that's quite interesting, because that's one of their core areas of their mandate is looking at jobs. And it says the unemployment rate has moved up but remains low. So they're trying to be a bit positive, saying it remains low, but unemployment. So we're beginning to see things turn around. And I haven't got it right now, but you may remember a chart that I've shown a number of times in the past, that the beginnings of every recession start with unemployment ticking up.
Yep.
And we're just beginning to see that now. And I don't doubt that we're going to see a recession. Now, we don't know quite how deep it's going to be, but we will see a recession. And there's other indicators. We still have an inverted bond yield curve. So basically where long-term rates, interest rates, are lower than short-term. And that just doesn't make any sense at all. when you lend somebody money for a long term, there's more risk. So you actually charge a higher rate of interest. So we have an inverted yield curve. So long-term interest rates are lower than short-term. So that means that they're actually expecting interest rates to come down longer term. So it's been priced into the market. So that's telling us that rates are coming down. And why would rates come down? Because economic activity is slowing and inflation is coming under control. So we're beginning to see the picture open up for us now. So it goes on to say inflation has eased over the past year, but remains somewhat elevated. So it has eased, and the three measures of inflation that I look at, CPI is clearly elevated, but CPI is not a good measure of inflation. In fact, the Fed themselves say that PCE is a much better measure of inflation. And we look at PCE around 2.5% now. So it's just a touch above the target rate of 2%. And in fact, it has been moderating consistently over the past probably about a year now. PCE has been coming down. They don't want to leave it until it reaches 2% because then it will overshoot, because these policy measures that they make, there's a delay effect. And there's loads of discussion, loads of research into the delay effect, how long it is, et cetera, but no doubt it's agreed, it's consensus. There is consensus that there's a delayed effect. So you don't wait until it hits 2% before you start to reduce interest rates. You actually have to anticipate. And as I've given the analogy, it's like turning a tanker. You have to actually start turning it a long time before you want it to turn, because there's a long lag delay effect. So that's precisely what we've got with PCE. And then the other measure of inflation that I look at, as I say, we've got the CPI, which is the high rate. Then we've got the other interest rates that we look at, which is PCE, which is the preferred measure. And then beyond that, we have what's called trueflation, which is an independent measure of inflation, which is, I think, far more accurate. And the trueflation measure is actually 1.5%. So trueflation, which is a much better, and much more accurate, and much more up to date because it measures things on a daily basis, is saying that the actual true inflation rate now is 1.5%. Now, we know we've suffered the effects of inflation. We've covered it enough in this show. You've talked about the massive hikes in insurance premiums and various things that are way, way above inflation. But now inflation does appear to have come down dramatically. And as I say, trueflation, which is probably the best up-to-date measure of inflation, 1.5%. So we're below target. So I think that we're actually behind the curve now, and I think that they should be lowering rates already. So clearly they didn't lower rates yesterday, and nobody expected them to lower rates. But I'll just move on the CME tool now. Again, can you see this chart of the expected?
Yeah, with the big bars. That's
right. Yeah, so this is basically, this is the Fed's CME measuring tool that they use to predict where interest rates are going. It looks at interest rate futures in the market and so on. And now there's an 86.5% chance that they're going to reduce rates to the 5 to 5.25 range. That's a 25% basis point cut in September. So 86.5% chance of that. So that went up since yesterday. I think it was 83% yesterday, and now it's gone up to 86.5% since that FOMC meeting. So that is reasonably close to being nailed on. I think it may even get closer to that as we approach the next Fed interest rate setting meeting around the middle. I think it's the 18th of September. So around mid-September. So about 6 weeks' time, we've got the next meeting. And as I say, 86.5% chance of a 25% basis point cut. There's actually even a 13.5% chance of a 50 basis point cut. So that's out of the money right now, but who knows, with changes in the economy, etc. But right now it's looking like there's going to be a cut in interest rates. So surprisingly, the market hasn't moved that positively, although it did move.
I think everyone's just like, it's so ominous over there. You see the funerals. You see, there's like 4 assassinations in 24 hours. It's like everybody knows the bombs are going to fly, how many people are going to die, what the market's going to do. I don't think that the markets are, I think that it's already factored in, as the markets like to do. It's what's happening right now. And so they probably won't tank a whole bunch as it happens, and it'll probably continue to go up. But yeah, people are scared.
Yeah, I agree to some extent, although I still think there's too much complacency in the market. We've talked about this geopolitical risk, and I
Yeah.
think the geopolitical risk is underestimated at the moment. So I think the market is complacent.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, following yesterday, we did actually see a really good rise in the S&P 500. As you say, Dow futures are looking positive for today.
Yeah,
So I
they
think,
just switched. Actually, they were, but that's sometimes they do that, and that if it happens like that as we're leading up the hours before the opening of the Dow, that usually is a very good indicator that we're going to have another up day on the Dow.
yeah, I mean, it seemed obvious.
Yeah.
And really, when something seems obvious, you know you got it wrong. So it seemed obvious that the Fed turning more dovish. And as I say, I got whiplash because that statement is not that dovish. There's a couple of hints there, I think enough to tell us. But actually, during the press conference, Powell was really uneasy when he was asked some questions, and he did concede that the economy is softening, and really it's highly likely, unless there's a shock like a geopolitical shock, unless there's any untoward shock, then it looks as though, from what he was saying, they will be lowering rates in September. So whilst he came out in the statement, as I say, I was thinking, right, we're not going to see it in September. But then he came out in the press conference, much more dovish, much more uncertain. So I do think that, barring, as I say, anything geopolitical, then we will see that rate cut.
The inflation, it's crazy too, because and I understand it's I mean, gas has been coming down as well, and you see the price of barrel of oil and everything else. But I mean, even just like I was talking about, even just like skating, like I took the family, like we went and we had Bella had a skating with a boy, and so we were on the ice, and I mean, it was like even just the ice time and stuff like that. I mean, it's like doubled. It's just crazy. So all those little things too that they don't measure, it's like,
I mean, it is shocking the way those sort of prices gone up, but I suspect that those things have been going up and gone up already,
right.
And we're still suffering. We're still suffering from it.
Yeah, I agree that major move has probably gone up, but they never take it down. That's the thing, right?
So obviously, as spenders, consumers out there, we're going to notice that prices have gone up and we're going to be shocked by it. But we're talking about right now what is happening, and Trueflation looks on a day-by-day basis at price, and it is saying that inflation is actually now down at 1.5%, so below target. And so what it's actually saying is we're too late to be lowering interest rates. We should already be lowering them because the economy is already showing signs of slowing. So that ship has already started to slow down, and yet they haven't started to even try to turn the ship at all. It's the economy is definitely slowing down. We've seen unemployment tipping up a little bit, and that's the first time we've got the bond yield inversion. So the signs are already there, and inflation, as I say, Trueflation now down 1. So the signs are already there, and they haven't started to lower rates. So they're going to be too late, and this is what causes recession. This is what causes uncertainty for businesses, because it's going to be another, acting too late. So basically, we're going to start to see too much of a slowdown. Then eventually, they're going to start to print money again, which will cause too much of it heating up. And they can't seem to keep an even keel on this. They just seem to be swinging to extremes one way and the other, which is not good for business, not good for planning. You want to know what your outgoings are going to be, not have to keep having to change all your estimates. So looking at the SPX, as I say, we got a really nice turn up there. And I said yesterday, I'm actually expecting potentially a target now of maybe 6,000 on SPX as the next upside target. We're at 5,500 now, but we have seen that bit of a turn down. So, for example, looking at Bitcoin, it's actually quite a nice chart, because we do seem to have had a very nice ABC move down from this. We've got a 5-wave move up, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in red, and then we've had a very nice ABC move to the downside. And I was saying yesterday, we may or may not be complete, but slightly longer term, we're definitely looking at more upside to come in the market. So I think I looked at a longer term chart actually on Bitcoin yesterday. This was the long term chart. Yeah, definitely expecting. I'd need to scroll out to really see the long term. size of that. So we can see longer term, we've got basically some kind of wave 4, I think. It's even potentially could even be turn into a triangle. So we could get more downside. So we've got an ABC down at the moment. It's all choppiness in this movement. I do suspect the ABC is complete because this looks to me, I'd have to check on the levels precisely. It looks like a 5-wave move down here. That would be an A, a B, and a C. Down, that will be complete. Somebody sent me something and I will examine it. They sent me a potential for this to be a triangle. But either way, whichever way it is, ABC or triangle, it makes no difference in the long run. We would expect there to be a push above the previous all-time high here that we've got labeled as wave 3. And we push up in wave 5 to new all-time high. This is actually looking like a nice bullish little chart actually at the moment. This candlestick here is looking like it's going to be a bullish hammer. We'll have to see how the day ends. But you just said that Dow futures are picking up, and maybe the Bitcoin and so on will move with it, being correlated to some extent. And if we turn blue there, we're going to green there, we're going to get a really nice hammer candlestick with a nice move expected to the upside. And even from this wave 4, we have actually had, it looks like, 5 waves to the upside. So it was only to be expected we'll get a bit of a pullback. And it always goes against what you're expecting. When the market, when the Fed come out dovish, you'd expect the market to pump straight away. It doesn't, because the market tends to catch people out. So we're getting a little bit of a pullback, which will allow people to lose confidence, maybe close positions, whatever, and then the market will likely pump. And we should see it pump, as I say, to new all-time highs, well above the previous all-time high here. And the immediate target, as I say, is just over 84,000. That would be the immediate target where I start thinking about protecting positions. So we have seen pullback pretty much across the board, but it's all the same as far as I'm concerned. Even with Solana here, we've seen quite a bit of a pullback here. ABC to the downside, and I think that we're moving up impulsively. I think we possibly had ABC back down. But either way, even if it corrects further, it's allowed to correct further. It's perfectly possible. I think this move up from this low point here has been in 5 waves. So I do think that we're going to see again a high above certainly above the local high here for Solana, which was $210 there or thereabouts. So I think even if we get further pullback, it doesn't matter to me. I would hold on to long positions personally. You need to make your own decisions based on your risk reward, your capital, your everything that you take into account when you're trading. But for me, I'm bullish at the moment, and the signs are extremely bullish for all the crypto as far as I can see. So we'll just take a quick look at the dollar index. So dollar index initially took a turn down on the dovishness yesterday, got a little bit of a push up today. Not quite sure why it's pushed higher today, because that was reasonably dovish, and it may be that they are beginning to factor in that there's going to be some issue. They are basically storing up some issues now in the Middle East that are going to play out, I think, no matter what. It's just a matter of how serious they are. But maybe the market is just beginning to factor in that there's some risk there.
It feels like, I would agree.
Yeah. But I do think that even if we, we've had 3 waves up, even if we get a push down, we may get another 3 up. So it'll be 3, it could be a 335 correction, but then we'd probably push down and break this support zone. And that's on the cards because inflation's now diminishing, I think, and growth is diminishing a little bit, and interest rates are going to be coming down. So we will definitely be seeing money flowing out of the US dollar and into risk assets. So flowing out of the dollar means weaker dollar here, and into risk assets means higher for the traditional assets, S&P, the Dow, etc., and also the non-traditional crypto assets they're setting up. Actually, they're just. I really think this is an opportunity to add to your positions. Interestingly, I'll just have a quick look here at XRP. So today is the 1st of August. Now remember what I said, that they were anticipating that there's a release of $500 million worth, so $1 billion XRP at the beginning of every month, actually, so on the 1st of every month. So what happens is they push the price up, and that allows them basically when the 500 million are released, they then sell them. So they basically, you get a short squeeze, pushing price up. It means when the 500 million is released, they're then sold at a higher price and they make more money out of it. So this is whales manipulating the market here. I still think it's most probably only going to be a temporary pullback, and I think XRP will probably push higher again. So I think we've completed, I think it will align in the end of the day with the rest of crypto. So again, we've had some kind of ABC move down. It's actually a larger WXY move down. It's just this final Y wave will be made up of 3 waves as it is here, ABC. We've had a beautiful hammer candlestick there to signal the upside. I need to check, but I'm pretty sure we probably, we've got all sorts of bullish divergences as well from down here. So that signaled the move up. So we've got 5 waves up. We'll get a bit of a pullback. And then I think we're going to take off again above this previous and above even the previous high that we had with the with that SEC judgment, which was at the pump there was here at 93 cents or something. So I've got the arrow here indicating not the exact magnitude of the move, but actually the direction that we're going to break this previous move when we got the SEC news about not being a security. So I think it's really positive for XRP, despite the short-term manipulations that we've had with this release of XRP. And we get that every month. So it's actually a good little trading tip to watch out for things like that. When there's big releases of tokens to market, it's a little bit like buy the rumor, sell the news. So the rumor is there's going to be a big release of tokens. You'd think that'd be a sell signal, but no. What happens is the inverse to that, the opposite. So the news of the tokens being released to market, actually the price pumps with that news. But when they're actually released, then you get the dump then. But that's actually just, it can easily be explained, as I say, by the whales pushing the price higher so that when those tokens are released, they can sell them at a higher price and make more profit out of it. So
that is like the most professional traded coin I've ever seen. Like Ripple, those guys that trade that, like I've always said Ripple is the central bankers. Those guys know how to trade, man. They trade that thing. They get the most out of that. I mean, with the way you're explaining it, it makes total sense that they would do it that way.
Yeah, it's nice to actually understand what's happening. So it just enables you to make better decisions. So gold, again, exactly as per expectation here. We're just seeing, okay, we're still within this ending diagonal. I actually think we're probably going to see a bit of short-term downside probably on gold. But we've seen, I mean, we saw oil. Now, remember, I'm always saying that gold and oil are quite highly correlated. So we saw that push up on oil. And maybe, again, I just think that maybe they are beginning to factor in the risk of geopolitical tension. I just think it's absolutely bound to happen now. I don't think there's any way out. It's just a matter of how serious it is. Let's hope it can be contained. And I think it will be contained for the time being. And we'll see oil prices come back down. Gold price will get a little bit of a correction down, but then we should start to push up with the other risk assets. All in all, though, I think the market will remain healthy for the time being, especially in this with this backdrop of potentially lowering of interest rates. So that's gold and oil. You did mention Doge. I know we've had a bit of a pullback on Doge. So far, we've had 5 waves up. You can see here from the bottom. Wave 1 up, wave 2 down, wave 3 up, wave 4 down, wave 5 up. And then a very clear ABC pullback. So I actually think highly likely, I mean, that ABC pullback, by the way, theoretically can go all the way down to the start of this move, but not beyond it. It's unlikely to go that deep. And it's actually entirely possible that it's already done its ABC, because I think if we measured it, we may just have a touch lower to go, possibly for C to equal A in terms of magnitude. And we can just open that out so you can see it and measure it, just so you can see the C wave would have a bit further to go if it wants to equal the A wave. So I just measure the potential A wave from there to there, and then we just transpose that to top there. So potentially we may have a bit lower to go, and then I think we should sail on up to the upside, substantial upside to come for Doge. So that's looking really positive. And as you said, Toncoin is actually one of those that's bucking the trend right now. And most of the tokens are showing downside. Toncoin is one of the greater upsides at the moment, if not the biggest that I've got on my screen at the moment. showing 0.59%. So not a massive move up, but bearing in mind the market's moving down, as you say, XRP down 2.3%. What have we got? Bitcoin down 0.16. Yeah, there's a lot of down, even Booker memes down 1.4%. Link is up a little bit more, but in general, TON is looking really positive, and this appears to be some kind of corrective move to the downside. So once again, I'm really bullish. I think we're going to see TON in the near future, not too distant future, hitting new all-time highs above that $8.29. So I think it's really positive. And also the tokens you mentioned that are on the TON ecosystem, also a lot of them have a bright future, and will likely
that when I mentioned dog or flower, that community is there. Like, that's exactly what you want. Community always running around. They're like, they're real. They're active. They're posting dog or flower. That one and those ones they've kind of bottomed out. So could be, you're looking at, you get into one of those ones that, $500,000 or something like that, and it goes to 3 million. And that's a great move.
Yeah.
Market cap, I'm saying,
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous opportunities there.
Yeah.
And just, I was just going to touch on one other thing before I leave. I've got a meeting I'm going to have to head to. So I'll just wrap up with a couple of final little tokens. As I've said before, and I actually said that we may have completed the 5-wave move here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th wave needed to go above that 3rd wave. It actually did that, and then we moved down quite nicely. But what's good about this is if it's 5 waves to the upside, which is here, and I don't know what scale I've got this on. I'll just stick the 5 in there. Okay, it's the right sort of scale, just wrong color. But that looks like a completed 5-wave move on Litecoin. So with it being 5 waves, that means the impulsive direction is now to the upside. So we have an ABC correction that's against the trend to the downside. The trend direction is now to the upside, it seems. We've got 5 waves, which is an impulsive move. Bit of a 3-wave pullback, may go a little bit deeper, but then we should expect to see from some point some substantial further upside on Litecoin. So all in all, I actually think that the market's looking quite positive, although we are getting a bit of a pullback today. But it's actually to be expected. Bit of profit taking, just setting up for the big move. So opportunity to dollar cost average, fill your bags, and wait for the next big move up, especially as we get closer to the next FOMC meeting. We'll have more data released about inflation, about jobs, etc., etc. That is likely to start to come out a little bit softer, and that will just boost the chances of an interest rate cut, and that will boost the chances. So if we see that, we would likely see a good run-up in risk assets to the next meeting. But if they then do drop rates at the next meeting, the initial response would be a pullback in markets. So again, what we've just explained, buy the rumor, sell the news. So now is probably the opportunity as we head towards the next, it's 6 weeks now to the next FOMC meeting. So plenty of time, but we should be thinking about dollar cost averaging. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't jump in all in one go, but maybe just think about, we've got 5 waves up, 3-wave pullback. We can start to maybe buy in at a few different areas in not just Litecoin, Toncoin, Bitcoin, but look to spread the risk across various assets, but also across asset classes. So this is crypto. Don't put all your money in crypto. A great opportunity, of course, but spread it between the asset classes and diversify, because that is the key to long-term success with your investment portfolio. So it's been a great day. As I say, with the Fed, I think it's one of the most important Fed meetings that we've had, this FOMC meeting. The fact that they've turned dovish, they've virtually told us now, they've virtually told us in as straight a language as they're able to tell us that they're going to lower rates in September. So let's take that on board, digest it, and factor that into our investment decisions now, because I think there's some positivity ahead. And I've actually jumped into a couple of assets this morning. And, not to say that you should, but you should certainly consider it and take a closer look. So that's it today. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And
awesome.
Look forward to catch up before the weekend tomorrow.
You got it. Have a great meeting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Cheers. It's great. great. Matt Dixon there with the market report. A lot of stuff going on here. And even as we have been talking, we had a little bit of a pullback as the show was starting, as I was putting together the show on the markets. But it looks like things are turning here. Let me just look at the futures again. Dow futures have continued to move up, as well as Bitcoin has continued to move up. Things are moving here. One of the ones, of course, that I even topped off my bag yesterday is one of these ones that I really support, and I've been dollar cost averaging on pretty much every dip. Is Polka Gold and Dalgo. Polka Gold and Dalgo. We actually had right off of, looks like, one of their main YouTube channels here. Bruce and Matt, excellent. TA, much love from the P Gold and Dalgo community. Well, much love back at you guys. I'll tell you what, this commodity has really, I'm impressed by what they put together. Of course, they have the locked liquidity. Okay, they have that locked liquidity. They started with by Polkadot and Algo wells. They put a bunch of Algorand into a locked liquidity base, and then of course they put all the entire supply of Polka Gold on there, so everybody had to buy it. You either had to buy it or you didn't have it, and so they still have they have the most total locked value in the entire Algorand ecosystem. And then as well, Dalgo, they launched their meme Dalgo, and that has the most locked total value in a meme on the Algorand blockchain. So I'm a big supporter of those two coins. Dalgo is their I can just pull that up. Dalgo is their meme coin that they launched, and it's memes are popular. Memes are very popular here. I was just looking at. I'll share this screen and then I'll load it in there. I was just looking at the Dow futures there. Let me just put this Dalgo Tech. It's a fun meme coin. The thing about a meme coin is it's a great advertising tool as well. You're going to bring a lot of people in. Okay. It's fun meme coin. You can buy this very easily. The markets work very well right on this Vistage right here. Now you can look even on Vistage. I'll show you right here. You have Polka Gold right here is number 2, as you can see, number 2 in the entire Algo ecosystem with total locked value and everything else. So that's as we go into a big run, and this is really easy to use. This is one of the dexes that they use, Vistage. And let's see here, Polka Gold. And of course, I talk about these guys every day because I firmly believe that this is a digital asset that is going to make big moves. I think they're going to make big moves on this one. And with the total locked value, I think that your way out, if you want to get out, I'm comfortable on that. So that's one of the reasons why I talk about it every day. I think this is very good. It's a reserve digital asset commodity for Polkadot. So Polka Gold, make sure to check them out. You might want to get a bag. It's not financial advice. I get paid to do all this stuff, okay, but I am long on these assets. So I'd like to share them with you. Now, as well, I like to roll right in to since we're talking about gold, at cost metals. Okay, go to at cost metals. You need gold, you need Bitcoin, you need crypto. You need to diversify your portfolio. Okay, you won't want to be all in on just one thing. Okay, and you can go to at cost metals and use the discount or use the referral code clubs, and I have that right here, clubs with an S. Referral code clubs. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Well, that's a different one. Anyway, go to atcostmetals.com and use referral code clubs. You can also go to @costmetal with no S on X and find me there. We have our company one there. I don't know why I can't find that right now. I need to move these around. I'm going to move these around afterwards. Anyway, go, you get yourself some gold and get yourself some silver. This is really important, guys. And I had a video here that I wanted to show you at Cost Metals. At Cost Metals. Let me just go videos. This is the one here. Is that? It's where everything compounds. Anyway. Compound. Here it is. No, that's compensation. Anyway, I'm not going to spend more time on it here. Unlock the vault. They have a vault. Anyway, go to At Cost Metals, guys. Don't sleep on this stuff. Not financial advice. All that stuff I'm supposed to say, but don't sleep on it. You know, your house is going up in value ridiculously because they're diluting the money supply. Stocks are going through the roof ridiculously because they're diluting the money supply. Gold was, you know, when they made your family trade in all their gold, they gave them $25 per ounce. It's now $2,500 per ounce. Okay. Like, don't let yourself get diluted. The way that you can come out of that system is to get yourself in assets that they can't dilute. They can dilute the US dollar. The US dollars are not American. I actually put up a post about this yesterday. I didn't mean to put that up here, but I put up a post. I went under one of our favorite congresswomen there, and I'll pull it up for you because it was a pretty good explainer. A couple of people said that was a good explainer. US dollar. Here it is right here. Boebert. Put it under Boebert because Boebert says, Lauren Boebert here. She says our national debt has officially hit $35 trillion. The exponential growth is real. Are we ever going to get a Congress who actually starts to pay this down? Now, it was cleverly worded, pay it down and not pay it off, but I still put it here. I said it is impossible to pay off the national debt because the United States doesn't have its own money. And let me just take that out of the box for everybody a little bit, because we don't have our own money. And I know my video just went out, so let me fix that. I guess I have too many tabs open here. Let me see here. I know exactly how to fix this. Boom. I'm going to go Ha! Didn't have a mic going there for a minute. All right. I'm going to read that. I'm going to read that one more time because my mic wasn't going. Somebody messaged me. It's impossible to pay off the national debt, I said to Lauren Boebert, because the United States doesn't have its own money. We don't have our own money. You think we have our own money. You think the US dollars are our money, but they're not. All the dollars that we use are owned by the central banking cartel, the Federal Reserve. They charge us interest for using their money. Therefore, every dollar used to pay off the national debt actually incurs more debt. We can never pay them off. We are slaves of the central banking cartel, never actually having our own money to pay them off. It is impossible to pay them off. For every $100 billion that we pay off, and we're 35 trillion in debt, but for every 100 billion that we pay off, we actually incur $3 to $5 billion more debt. It's impossible to pay them off. We are slaves to the central banking cartel. The countries that don't use the central banking cartel, we're always at war with. Syria, Russia, Venezuela, Libya tried to do it. Cuba. The only way out is to dissolve the Federal Reserve and kick the central banking cartel out of our country. It's the only way out. We have to do it. We have to do it. We have to do it. So here's the Rothschild tax. The Rothschild tax, I talk about it. I wrote a song about it. I've been busy with Sound of Music play, so I haven't really gotten to do a bunch of recording on it. But now that that's over, I'll be able to do some more stuff. The Rothschild tax is inflation. Okay. Now, very interesting as well. The amount of federal income tax collected every year is always the amount of interest that is due to the central bank. So taxes have to go up this year because we're more in debt and the interest rate is higher. So the federal income tax will be higher in 2024 than 2023. That you watch. There's just no way to get around it. And the reason it's higher is because everybody in Congress spending money like a drunken sailor because they're so used to just having endless supplies of money because the central bank, that's how they took over. The central bank said, don't worry about it. We'll give you all the money you need. You'll never default on anything. Just let us handle the money supply. Let us handle the money. Let us handle the money. They confiscated everybody's gold, right? They took all everybody's money. And then we're slaves. I talk about it every day. It's crazy. They will give you as much money as you want, not to the people. They're going to take it from us by diluting us and diluting us and diluting us. But we'll give the elites, we'll give Congress, we'll give that they totally control because they buy everybody out. All the money that you need, just use our money and not your own money. But we'll give you, you'll never default on anything. You'll get to pay for all your pet projects. You'll get to pay for every war that you ever want. Your CIA will be completely funded forever. DOJ will be completely funded. The Department of Defense is completely funded. Everything's funded. And that's the scam. And then they just dilute. And they give, and the guys in Washington are so used to the system, most of them don't even understand it. All they know is they legislate some new bill that cost us more money. They think that that's how you fix everything. You just legislate, charge more money, print up some more money, dilute everybody. And these are the people behind it. These are the people behind the U.S. branch of the central banking cartel, which is the Federal Reserve. These are the people that own it. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Morgans, the Warburgs, Goldman Sachs, Lehman, Kuhn, Loeb, Lazard, Israel, Moses, Schiff, and Stillman. These are the families that own the Federal Reserve. Very important that we end the Fed. We have to end the Fed. I've been having Thomas Massey up here every day now for a while. I had the great Ron Paul for a while. But Thomas Massey is really, he's pushing to end the Fed more than anybody else up there. End the Fed. He told us about the AIPAC person. Everybody in Congress, he told us, has their AIPAC person. AIPAC, Kennedy, one of the main, everybody thinks that Kennedy just got assassinated because he started making silver notes, and he told everybody, and he wanted to go away from the Federal Reserve. But he made AZC, the American Zionist Council, I think, Zionist Council, AZZ, still on Google for now. You can Google it up. And he made them register as foreign agents. And if you're registered as a foreign agent, you have to declare what money you're giving to politicians. It has to be public information. So AZC, after that, and after he was assassinated, they changed their name. They already had the subsidy AIPAC, I believe, and they opened AIPAC, and they continued doing their whole thing, paying everybody off, completely controlling Congress and everything else, and not registering as foreign agents. And actually, in Europe, they're having the same problem. Hungary has just passed legislation in order to force these different groups, NGOs, to register as foreign-funded entities. If they're foreign-funded, they need to register as such so that people know what's going on. If you're paying off, if you're a foreign funded organization and you're paying off everybody in Congress, paying off relative term, whatever, funding, however you want to say it, we need to know. Like, Americans need to know. If there's a foreign country that's bribing or paying off or funding everybody in Congress, we need to know. That needs to be public information. We can't have some foreign country just buying elections all over the United States. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, don't you agree about that? So he told us everybody's got an AIPAC guy. Everybody has an AIPAC guy, he told us. And nobody has ever told us that, right? And he got on Tucker, and I'll talk to my AIPAC guy. Yeah. Here we go. Hold on. Here we go. I'm going to share this. This is a very important moment from our friend here, Thomas Massey.
Idea of a foreign government playing in our political campaigns openly in that they're showing you they're doing it, but opaquely in that you can't track it because they're not registered. Is there any other Republican who has your views on this?
Well, I have Republicans who come to me on the floor and say, I wish I could vote with you today. Yours is the right vote, but I would just take too much flack back home. And I have Republicans who come to me and say, that's wrong what AIPAC is doing to you. Let me talk to my AIPAC person. By the way, everybody but me has an AIPAC person.
What does that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are, firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
every member has something like this?
I don't know how it works on the Democrat side, but that's how it works on the Republican side. And when they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them.
And just to be clear, this is Thomas Massey. He's a Republican congressman. If you don't know who that is, Thomas Massey.
So I've had
that's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, I'll talk to my AIPAC person. And it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to, dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
It doesn't benefit anybody. Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? It doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
Have you seen any other country do anything like this? Like
No.
Russia obviously determines the outcome of our elections. We keep hearing that. Does anyone have a Putin guy that they talk to?
Not only do they not have a Putin guy, look, they don't have a Britain guy. They don't have an Australian guy. They don't have a Germany dude. Like, it's the only country that does this, that has somebody that, like, uniformly. I guarantee there's some spreadsheet at APAC where where the APAC dude is who's matched up with the congressman is there, and then all the congressman's votes on the issue. Oh, has the congressman been to Israel? They pay for trips for congressmen and their spouses to go to Israel. I'm not the only Republican who hasn't taken the APAC trip to Israel, but I'm probably one of a dozen that hasn't taken that trip, and the other ones just haven't got around to it.
What's the trip like? Do you know?
It's kind of like, I think, vacation-y. You go see the wall, you go see the sites, things like that.
That's alarming, guys. So everybody in Congress has an APAC guy, and they're funding all of these people. So they're beholden. Well, I want to vote with you, but I'm going to get too much flack. And they're representing a foreign country. If Israel wants to be the 51st state or 52nd state, do we have 50 or 51? I don't know if we added one or whatever. If it wants to be a U.S. state, and we can vote and we can have a say in what they're doing over there, then that's one thing. But if they're going to be a different country, the fact that we have them influencing our election, and that's likely really what killed why JFK was assassinated. Of course, ending the Fed, stopping their control over the money was also part of it. It was all together. Okay, it was all together. Same group of people. You see, pretty crazy situation that we're in, and we have to get ourselves out of it. Big thing to do is end the Fed. That's like one of the most important things that we can do. We got to end the Fed. We have to get off of this money lending system. The whole system is money lending. The whole system's money lending. We don't even have our own money. Even when you have money in US dollars, it's not your own. They can dilute it at any time, and they do dilute it at any time. And when I say dilute it, basically they tax it. Just inflation or whatever. I mean, I know it's like I didn't grow up that way, understanding it exactly, but that's the deal, guys. That's the deal. And I love everybody. Okay, I'm easy. I love everybody, but this country is in shambles. We are in a mess, and we're making a lot of enemies as well. People that don't want war with us, people that don't want to mess with us. People don't want to mess with us. We're the biggest, baddest guys around since a long time. People want to mess with us. And but we're doing a lot of stuff by backing these people, and we don't have control over it. I mean, we're backing these guys. I mean, thank God that Putin is he's like the level head in the room. Putin is like the most level-headed guy, appears to me, around the world. I mean, the fact that he hasn't struck back. I mean, we're like sinking warships and stuff, killing hundreds of thousands of people, responsible for it. And he's biding his time, hoping that Trump gets in and we can have some peace. Crazy. It is crazy stuff. Talking about crazy, I'll tell you what, that interview that I did with Cyrus yesterday was really something else. We talked about remote viewing. I don't know if you guys caught that, but we talked about remote viewing yesterday a little bit. So it's pretty interesting, I think. It's pretty interesting. Let me see here from remote viewing. There it is. Let me just. Okay, so I got to follow up on it. You said I was able to predict the COVID crisis and everything like that because of remote viewing. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, how did?
Not just remote viewing. I lived with fighting monks in China for a year. I've had my what you call the pineal gland third eye or remote viewing since I was a little kid. And then the past 20 years, my teacher out in New York passed on to me his knowledge going back from one master to another over 5,000 years. So when I was sitting in meditation, you saw in that trailer, in 2018, early 2019, I saw the lab, I saw what they were making, and then I used my DHS contacts, my CIA contacts, try to get to the president to listen. Then I went and met Mikhail Damilincourt in June 2019 at the Trump International Hotel, Washington, D.C. He's a French director of the Trump Hotel. I told him that this bioweapon is going to be released in 6 months, and a year and a half from now, right before election, it'll hit Trump and he'll go out of office. Later, we'll have global wars. And he thought, how is it possible? I'm the CEO of the AI organization, and I've developed a certain technology that neither the Pentagon or Google has. I couldn't tell him how I knew this because he wouldn't believe me, right? But then I wrote it down, published it in my books, my report to Secret Service. So in October 2019, October 2019, it published, and it says right in there, an artificial intelligence danger to humanity, that I gave this report to the Trump contact, and then the CIA Corporate Ops Director, Secret Service, and then right before the election, he would get hit. Then I got on a bunch of shows in 2020 saying that this will happen, and it happened just like that. So yes, I used my third eye, as you say, and I saw the picture of the pandemic, the riots, global wars later on. So now I'm making this movie, and I've asked the audience of people, please go to gothstudios.com, donate, and help us make this movie. I just need the funding to pay the actors and the proper CGI and audio guys and video guys, so I can help your families. Really
Godstudios.com. And I just wanted, because I know for a lot of people, all the information is out there, but I just wanted to kind of show people remote viewing is a real thing. This is CIA.gov, CIA.gov. Okay. Site that I pulled up right here, and it talks about the remote viewing and evaluation of the remote viewing program, research and operational applications. It is well known that there is a remote viewing program, and it just is, even as far-fetched as it may be, it does exist. It is a real thing. How did you get involved in that?
Well, training over 20 plus years of deep meditation, and my teacher passing on his knowledge and his energy systems on to me. And then it was my third eye was open since a little kid. So it just got more developed and stronger as I practiced and trained as the decades went on. Since I was a little kid, even living in China and so on. But you don't tell these people these things. But now, I have the credibility and got so many things right. I mean, I literally wrote down and orated the words mandated vaccines with nanotechnology and quarantines in April 2020. And I published them in my federal document in late 2019. And it was in my books as well in October 2019. And I gave a report to the CIA Covert Ops Director on, I think it was July 2019. By the way, I don't work for the CIA. I don't work for any agencies. I love this country. I love America. I love our freedoms. And I love the world. I really do. And I like your support. And there's a lot of books I have on Amazon as well.
Cool. So let's talk about some of the. So this is a little bit more about remote viewing, just a short thing here, but I think it's worth showing.
What is remote viewing?
Oh, hold on.
Remote viewing is the ability to perceive details of a location or an activity that is otherwise shielded.
I'm meeting up with remote viewer John Cook to learn more.
What is remote viewing?
Remote viewing is the ability to perceive details of a location or an activity that is otherwise shielded to you by it being distant or it being remote in time or space.
What makes remote viewing unique and testable?
Remote viewing is done under controlled conditions. The person who's doing the viewing is blind to the nature of what they're looking at. And it's important that there be an actual thing.
Pretty crazy. So I'm not sure of all the rules. I think there's like some 30-second rule of I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get in trouble on by playing that whole thing. So anyway, but it is real. These things have been going on. The CIA has been running these operations for a long time. Of course, we have MK Ultra, we have remote viewing, we have all these different things that they've really kept in the shadows, and a lot of that's going to come out. So very important time for you to be paying attention, a very important time for you to be stacking assets that they cannot take, seize, freeze, or dilute. Get yourself some gold, get yourself some Bitcoin, get yourself some different crypto assets. Of course, I've talked about the ones that I'm long on. Of course, you want to store them safely as well. Okay, Coin Vigilante. The Tangem wallet is one way that you can store your digital assets safely. Okay, Tangem wallet, Tangem, tangem.com. Use code Impact Money. Okay, get yourself a hardware wallet. These are beautiful hardware wallets, as a matter of fact. Get yourself a proper hardware wallet that you can use. Okay, in order to keep your stuff safe. You get your own seed phrase there. Remember, not your keys, not your coins. Okay, not your keys, not your coins. Very nice looking wallet here. This is size, and you can just tap it right here with your phone. It has RFD chip on it. Tangem wallet. You can have either 2 or 3. If you're going to buy one, I would go ahead and take the extra $10 or whatever and get yourself the 3. You can put one in the safety deposit box. You can carry one around with you if you want. And you can hide somewhere else in your safe or something like that. And they also have the ring. The ring is really hot right now. This ring as a wallet, you can wear it, and and then it comes with the 2 other ones that you can store. So that is very popular. Get yourself a good hardware wallet. I like Tangem, tangem.com, and you can keep your stuff safe. So. All right, well, that is enough for me today. It has been always a pleasure, guys. It is always a pleasure to do the shows. I love doing the shows. I know Matt does too. If you aren't trading, you should probably just try dollar cost averaging into certain things. Of course, not financial advice. This is for educational purposes. We get paid to do this stuff. Okay. I'll be back on TV in a few hours. Cheers.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.